Imagine a life where your kindness becomes a currency others constantly withdraw from, but rarely deposit into. You've been taught that kindness is a virtue, a moral compass that guides you in your interactions with others. Yet there's a powerful distinction we must make here, a shift in consciousness. True kindness isn't about allowing yourself to be a doormat for the world's expectations or the desires of others. It's about respecting your energy, your boundaries, and knowing when kindness becomes self-sabotage. Kindness in its purest form is a beautiful and necessary aspect of human interaction. It fosters connection, nurtures relationships, and brings a sense of harmony into the world. However, kindness without boundaries can have unintended consequences that most people overlook. When you give too much of yourself without setting clear limits, you may find that this well-intentioned behavior drains your brains or energy, leaving you feeling depleted, resentful, and disconnected from your authentic self. The subtle erosion of your energy happens because when you are always available for others, you are, in effect, neglecting yourself. It's essential to understand that kindness is not the same as self-sacrifice. Being kind doesn't mean saying yes to every request or bending over backward to accommodate others at the expense of your own well-being. The notion that kindness requires endless giving stems from a societal belief that equates selflessness with goodness. While there is value in helping others, doing so without considering your own needs can create an imbalance that ultimately harms you and those you aim to help. When you constantly give without boundaries, you might not realize that you're subtly teaching others that your time, energy, and emotional resources are limitless. This can create a dynamic where people expect you to be available for them at all times. And when you aren't, they might view it as a failure on your part. Over time, this expectation becomes internalized. You begin to feel guilty for not meeting the demands of others, even when those demands are unreasonable or overwhelming. The more you allow yourself to be consumed by the needs of others, the less energy you have to focus on your own growth, aspirations, and well-being. Imagine your energy as a reservoir. Every act of kindness is like drawing from this reservoir. If you constantly give without refilling it through self-care, rest, or moments of solitude, you'll eventually run dry. At this point, your kindness is no longer genuine, it's forced. It becomes a performance, an obligation, rather than a sincere expression of your true self. This is where the danger lies. When kindness turns into obligation, it ceases to serve its original purpose. Instead of connecting you with others, it begins to create feelings of resentment. You may start to feel used, undervalued, or even taken advantage of. But in reality, you have been complicit in this dynamic by not setting boundaries. The absence of boundaries creates an unhealthy exchange where your energy is continuously drainlessly without replenishment. The act of constantly giving also prevents you from tuning into your own needs. You become so focused on making others happy or comfortable that you lose sight of what truly matters to you. Your desires, dreams, and personal goals become secondary, if not completely forgotten. The energy you could be investing in your own life is instead funneled into the lives of others. While it's noble to help, it's not sustainable if it means neglecting your own path. Without boundaries, kindness can also become a way to avoid confrontation. And many people use kindness as a tool to maintain peace, to avoid difficult conversations, or to keep others from feeling uncomfortable. In doing so, they suppress their own truth. They might smile and agree, even when they're inwardly feeling frustrated or dissatisfied. Over time, this leads to an internal dissonance, a gap between who you are and how you act. This dissonance can create anxiety, stress, and a sense of disconnection from yourself. You're no longer living in alignment with your values or needs, but rather conforming to the expectations of others. Moreover, kindness without boundaries can lead to emotional exhaustion. When you are always there for others, offering support, advice, or simply your presence, you are absorbing the emotions, stresses, and problems of those around you. Empathy is a powerful tool for connection, but it can also be draining if not managed properly. Constantly taking on the emotional burdens of others without protecting your own emotional space can lead to burnout. You become a container for the emotions of others without any outlet for your own. To avoid this, it's important to recognize that setting boundaries is not an act of cruelty or selfishness. Boundaries are essential for maintaining your energy and ensuring that your acts of kindness are genuine and sustainable. A boundary is simply a recognition of your limits, a way of saying, I value you, but I also value myself. It's about creating a balance between giving and receiving, between helping others and helping yourself. When you set boundaries, you create space for yourself to recharge, reflect, and grow. You allow yourself to step back from the constant demands of others and focus on what you need to feel fulfilled and energized. This might mean saying no more often, even when you feel pressure to say yes. It might mean taking time for yourself, even when others are asking for your attention. It might mean prioritizing your own goals and dreams, even when others want you to prioritize theirs. The irony is that when you set boundaries, your kindness becomes more impactful. Instead of being spread thin and feeling depleted, you can give from a place of abundance. When your energy is balanced and your needs are met, the kindness you offer is more authentic, more powerful, and more meaningful. You are no longer giving out of obligation or guilt, but out of a genuine desire to connect and contribute. In this way, kindness with boundaries becomes an act of self love. It's about recognizing your worth and ensuring that you are not depleting yourself in the process of helping others. It's about maintaining your energy so that you can continue to show up in the world as your best self rather than a version of yourself that is tired, frustrated, or resentful. Ultimately, true kindness is not about sacrificing yourself for the sake of others. It's about finding a balance between giving and receiving, between helping others and helping yourself. When you establish clear boundaries, you honor your own needs while still being able to offer genuine support to those around you. In doing so, you create a healthier, more sustainable way of being kind, one that empowers both you and the people in your life. Being overly kind often leads to self sacrifice because it compels individuals to prioritize the needs and desires of others over their own well being. While kindness is generally viewed as a positive trait, when taken to the extreme, it can become detrimental to the person practicing it. The essence of being overly kind lies in the imbalance between giving and receiving and between self care and the care of others. In many cases, individuals who are excessively kind feel a constant pull to ensure everyone around them is satisfied, comfortable, and happy, often at the expense of their own emotional and physical health. At the core of this self sacrifice is the belief that by being kind, one will be loved, accepted, or validated by others. It can stem from deeply rooted insecurities or the fear of rejection. People who have learned, either from early life experiences or societal conditioning, that kindness is a way to earn approval may continuously engage in behaviors that put others first, believing that doing so will keep them safe from judgment or conflict. But in reality, this kind of kindness often turns into people pleasing, which becomes a toxic cycle. When you continuously put others ahead of yourself, it's not long before you start to feel a deep sense of depletion. You're pouring from an empty cup, hoping that your efforts will be recognized or reciprocated, but often this isn't the case. Instead, the more you give, the more is expected of you. Over time, this leads to resentment, frustration, and exhaustion because the balance in your relationships becomes skewed. Your kindness becomes a one-way street, and you begin to lose sight of your own needs, goals, and desires. One of the most dangerous aspects of self-sacrifice is the slow erosion of self-worth. By constantly neglecting your own needs in favor of others, you send a subconscious message to yourself that your well-being isn't important, that your value is only tied to how much you can give. This can have devastating effects on mental health, leading to feelings of worthlessness, depression, and even physical health problems like chronic stress or burnout. The more you sacrifice for others, the less you have left for yourself, and over time, this imbalance can become unsustainable. Another crucial point to consider is that being overly kind often leads to blurred boundaries. When you are constantly trying to be kind, you may struggle to say no to people, even when their requests or demands infringe on your personal space, time, or energy. In an attempt to avoid conflict or disappointment, you agree that you don't want to do, which leads to a sense of obligation rather than genuine desire. These blurred boundaries can be exploited by others, whether consciously or unconsciously, as people begin to expect that you will always be available, always willing to help, and always deny needs first. In this dynamic, you become a martyr for the sake of kindness, continually sacrificing your own time, energy, and happiness. And yet, the paradox is that this form of kindness isn't actually healthy or sustainable, either for you or for the people you're trying to help. When kindness becomes a pattern of self-sacrifice, it loses its authenticity and becomes a form of self-neglect. True kindness stems from a place of balance where you are able to give without compromising your own well-being, where you can say no when necessary, and where your boundaries are respected. There is also a deeper spiritual consequence to this pattern of overgiving. When you are constantly focused on the needs of others, you are essentially disconnecting from your own inner truth and purpose. You lose touch with who you are at a fundamental level because your energy is so tied up in external validation. The more you give away without replenishing yourself, the further you drift from your authentic self. You may find yourself feeling lost, disconnected, and unfulfilled, even though on the surface you are doing everything society tells you is right. This inner disconnect can cause a profound sense of emptiness as your life becomes more about fulfilling the expectations of others rather than following your own path. Being overly kind also undermines your ability to grow and evolve. Growth often requires uncomfortable decisions, including standing up for yourself, setting clear boundaries, and even disappointing others when necessary. If your default mode is kindness, you may avoid these difficult but necessary moments of self-assertion. opting instead to maintain the peace or keep others happy. But true growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It requires moments of tension where you prioritize your own evolution over the temporary discomfort of others. Furthermore, this pattern of excessive kindness can lead to codependency, where your sense of self worth becomes tied to how much you are able to do for others. In a codependent relationship, you derive your value from your role as a caretaker or a giver, and you may struggle to set healthy boundaries or advocate for your own needs. Over time, this can create an unhealthy dynamic where you are overly invested in the well being of others to the point where you neglect your own life. It becomes difficult to distinguish where your identity ends and the needs of others begin, leading to a loss of autonomy and self direction. To break free from the cycle of self sacrifice, it's essential to start by recognizing your own worth independent of what you can do for others. It's about reclaiming your energy, setting clear boundaries, and understanding that true kindness doesn't require you to compromise your well being. When you operate from a place of inner strength and self respect, your kindness becomes more authentic, more balanced, and more sustainable. It becomes an expression of your true self rather than a mask you wear to gain approval or avoid conflict. Ultimately, being overly kind often leads to self sacrifice because it prioritizes the needs of others over your own, leading to exhaustion, resentment, and a loss of self worth. To live a fulfilling, authentic life, it's essential to practice kindness with boundaries, to give without depleting yourself, and to honor your own needs and desires alongside those of others. True kindness begins with being kind to yourself, and from that place of self respect, you can offer genuine compassion to the world without sacrificing your own well being. Authenticity is a concept that, at its core, speaks to living in alignment with your true self, expressing who you are without the filters of societal expectations or the need for external validation. It is about being genuine, transparent, and unapologetically real. When we compare this to superficial kindness, we can start to see why authenticity holds much more power. Superficial kindness is a learned behavior, a conditioned response that many adopt to fit in, to avoid conflict, or to be liked. While it may create harmony in the short term, it often masks deeper truths and stifles one's individuality. In life, many people are taught that being kind is the most important quality one can have. From a young age, we are told to be polite, to avoid upsetting others, and to put others' needs before our own. While kindness itself is a beautiful and essential quality, when it becomes superficial, performed out of obligation rather than genuine care, it loses its depth and meaning. Superficial kindness is driven by external motivations, the desire to be liked, to gain approval, or to avoid judgment. It becomes a mask we wear, hiding our true thoughts, feelings, and intentions in order to fit into a predefined mold of what it means to be good. On the other hand, authenticity demands that we strip away these masks. To live authentically means to honor who we are in both our strengths and our imperfections. It means having the courage to express ourselves fully, even if it makes others uncomfortable or challenges the status quo. Authenticity requires a deep sense of self-awareness, an understanding of what we value, and the willingness to live by those values, regardless of external pressures. While superficial kindness seeks to please others, authenticity prioritizes truth over comfort. It doesn't mean being unkind or callous, but it does mean being real. When we act from a place of authenticity, our actions are aligned with our core beliefs. We are no longer saying yes when we mean no or offering praise when we feel indifferent. We no longer participate in relationships or situations out of obligation, but instead because they resonate with who we truly are. This alignment creates a sense of inner peace and empowerment that superficial kindness can never achieve. When we are authentic, we are no longer sacrificing our own needs and desires to fit into a mold. Instead, we honor ourselves and those around us by being honest, even when that honesty is uncomfortable. One of the most significant aspects of authenticity is that it breeds trust. When we are authentic, people know where they stand with us. There is no need for guessing games or second-guessing intentions. Our words and actions align, and others can feel that we are being genuine. This creates deeper, more meaningful connections. In contrast, superficial kindness often creates shallow relationships where neither party truly knows the other. When kindness is given out of obligation or fear, it lacks sincerity. People can sense when someone is being inauthentic, even if they can't always articulate it. This disconnect creates barriers, preventing genuine connection and understanding. Furthermore, living authentically is incredibly liberating. It frees us from the constant need to please others or to conform to societal expectations. When we are authentic, we no longer waste energy trying to be what others want us to be. We stop seeking approval from external sources and instead find fulfillment within ourselves. This shift allows us to focus our energy on what truly matters: our growth, our passions, and our purpose. We are no longer bogged down by the weight of other people's expectations or judgments. Instead, we stand in our power, knowing that we are living in alignment with our truth. Authenticity also invites others to do the same. When we are authentic, we give permission for others to be authentic as well. It creates a ripple effect where people feel safe to drop their own masks and show up as they truly are. This creates environments of trust, honesty, and mutual respect. In contrast, when superficial kindness dominates, it fosters environments of politeness but not necessarily honesty. People may feel afraid to speak their truth or to express their real emotions, leading to misunderstandings and resentment. By choosing authenticity, we not only empower ourselves but also create space for others to do the same. One of the key differences between authenticity and superficial kindness is the motivation behind our actions. Superficial kindness is often driven by fear of rejection, fear of conflict, or fear of being disliked. We engage in it because we want to avoid discomfort or because we believe that's what is expected of us. Authenticity, on the other hand, is driven by a desire to be true to oneself. It requires us to confront our fears and to choose truth over comfort. While it may not always be easy, it is ultimately more rewarding. By being authentic, we give up the need for approval and instead seek alignment with our inner values. Living authentically also allows us to maintain healthier boundaries. When we are operating from a place of superficial kindness, we often overextend ourselves, saying yes to things we don't want to do and putting others' needs above our own. This leads to burnout, resentment, and a lack of fulfillment. Authenticity, however, requires us to set clear boundaries. It allows us to say no when necessary without guilt or fear of judgment. By honoring our own needs, we create space for self-care and personal growth, which ultimately allows us to show up more fully for others. In the long run, authenticity builds resilience. When we live authentically, we become less reliant on external validation. We learn to trust ourselves and our instincts rather than looking to others for approval. This self-trust creates a strong foundation that can withstand criticism, rejection, and failure. We are no longer swayed by the opinions of others because we know who we are and what we stand for. In contrast, superficial kindness leaves us vulnerable to external influences. When our sense of self-worth is tied to how others perceive us, we are constantly at the mercy of their opinions. Authenticity, on the other hand, roots us in our own truth, giving us the strength to navigate life's challenges with confidence and grace. Ultimately, authenticity is far more powerful than superficial kindness because it is rooted in truth, self-awareness, and integrity. It allows us to live in alignment with our highest self, fostering deeper connections, personal fulfillment, and lasting inner peace. While superficial kindness may offer temporary harmony, it pales in comparison to the transformative power of living authentically. Kindness, in its most pure and intentional form, is a powerful force that can uplift, heal, and transform. However, there is a subtle, often hidden side to kindness that many people are unaware of, a side where kindness is not driven by compassion or love, but by fear. When we peel back the layers of why we are kind, we sometimes discover that what appears to be an act of benevolence is actually rooted in a deep-seated fear of rejection, conflict, or disapproval. This form of kindness is not empowering, it's a form of self-sabotage that keeps us locked in patterns of behavior that weaken us rather than uplift us. When we act out of fear-based kindness, we are not truly being authentic. We are not acting from a place of genuine desire to help or uplift others. Instead, we are motivated by the fear of being disliked, judged, or abandoned. This fear creates a cycle in which we become overly accommodating, constantly putting others' needs ahead of our own. even when it's detrimental to our well being. We begin to lose sight of our own boundaries, our own voice, and our own worth. We become so focused on maintaining harmony or avoiding confrontation that we end up betraying ourselves in the process. The fear behind this kind of kindness often stems from a deep rooted belief that we are not enough as we are. We believe that in order to be accepted, loved, or respected, we must continually prove our worth through acts of kindness and self sacrifice. We may fear that if we stop being kind, people will reject us, criticize us, or withdraw their love and support. This fear is reinforced by societal conditioning, which often promotes the idea that being kind means always being agreeable, selfless, and accommodating. But in reality, kindness that is born from fear is not kindness at all. It's a form of self neglect. When we act out of fear, we are not operating from a place of love or compassion. We are acting from a place of insecurity and self doubt. We may believe that by being kind, we are protecting ourselves from negative outcomes, but in truth, we are only reinforcing our own fears and insecurities. This kind of kindness becomes a mask, a way to hide our true feelings and avoid uncomfortable situations. Instead of speaking our truth, we stay silent. Instead of asserting our boundaries, we allow others to overstep them. Instead of standing in our power, we shrink ourselves to fit into the expectations of others. This fear-based kindness often leads to resentment and burnout. When we continually give without receiving, when we accommodate others at the expense of our own needs, we begin to feel depleted, frustrated, and unappreciated. We may find ourselves wondering why others don't reciprocate our kindness, why they don't recognize or acknowledge our sacrifices. But the truth is, people can sense when kindness is coming from a place of fear rather than authenticity. When we are kind out of fear, we are not truly giving, we are attempting to manipulate outcomes to avoid discomfort. And because of this, the energy behind our actions is misaligned. True kindness is not about avoiding conflict or keeping everyone happy. True kindness is about being honest with ourselves and others. It's about recognizing that we can be kind and compassionate without sacrificing our own needs and well being. It's about understanding that setting boundaries is not unkind, it's an act of self respect. When we set boundaries, we are not being unkind or selfish. We are simply honoring our own limits and ensuring that we have the energy and space to care for ourselves. Fear-based kindness keeps us stuck in a cycle of people-pleasing. We become so focused on keeping the peace and maintaining relationships that we lose sight of our own desires, our own goals, and our own happiness. We may feel that if we are anything less than kind, we will be judged or rejected. But in reality, the people who truly love and respect us will honor our boundaries and appreciate our authenticity. When we stop being kind out of fear and start being kind out of love for ourselves and others, we begin to attract healthier, more balanced relationships into our lives. It's important to recognize when our kindness is coming from a place of fear so we can begin to shift our behavior. This requires self-awareness and a willingness to confront our own fears and insecurities. It may mean having difficult conversations, setting boundaries, or saying no when we would typically say yes. It may mean disappointing others or facing criticism. But in the long run, this kind of honesty and authenticity is far more empowering than continuing to act out of fear. When we start to act from a place of love and authenticity rather than fear, our kindness becomes a true expression of our higher self. We no longer feel the need to constantly prove ourselves or seek approval from others. We no longer feel obligated to give more than we have or to sacrifice our own well-being for the sake of others. Instead, we give from a place of abundance, knowing that our kindness is a reflection of our own inner strength and self-worth. This shift from fear-based kindness to authentic kindness is a powerful transformation. It allows us to reclaim our power to stand in our truth and to live in alignment with our highest potential. We begin to understand that we are worthy of love, respect, and kindness, not because of what we do for others, but simply because of who we are. And from this place of self-love and self-respect, we are able to offer kindness to others in a way that is truly transformative and healing. In the end, kindness is not about avoiding discomfort or keeping everyone happy. It's about being true to ourselves and offering our love and compassion from a place of strength and authenticity. When we let go of fear and embrace our true power, our kindness becomes a force for real change, not only in our own lives, but in the lives of those around us. Reclaiming your power by setting firm boundaries is a profound act of self liberation and self respect. When you establish clear boundaries, you are making a declaration to the world, and more importantly to yourself, that you value your time, energy, and emotional well being. Boundaries are not about shutting people out or being rigid, they are about creating a space where you can thrive without being drained by external demands or the expectations of others. In many cases, we are taught from a young age to be accommodating, to be polite, and to prioritize the needs of others over our own. This societal conditioning creates a pattern where we often feel guilty or uncomfortable when asserting our boundaries, fearing we might be seen as selfish or unkind. However, the truth is, when you lack boundaries, you give away your personal power. You allow others to encroach upon your energy. And over time, this erodes your sense of self worth. When you begin to set boundaries, it requires a shift in consciousness. You must first recognize the areas in your life where you are feeling depleted. Often, this depletion shows up in relationships, whether they are personal, professional, or even casual. If you feel exhausted after spending time with certain individuals, or if you find yourself constantly compromising your needs to accommodate others, this is a clear signal that boundaries are lacking. It's crucial to understand that setting boundaries is not about controlling others, it's about controlling your response to them. You have the power to decide where your energy goes and how much of it you are willing to give. One of the greatest misconceptions about boundaries is that they create distance or tension in relationships. While it may seem like setting a boundary will push people away, the opposite is often true. When you set firm boundaries, you are engaging in a form of self care that allows you to show up more fully and authentically in your relationships. You are no longer operating from a place of resentment or fatigue, but rather from a place of strength and clarity. People who genuinely respect and care for you will honor your boundaries because they understand that you are doing what is necessary to maintain your well being. Setting boundaries also involves unlearning the need for external validation. Often we hesitate to set limits because we fear judgment or rejection. We seek approval from others, thinking that if we are agreeable, we will be liked or accepted. But this is a false sense of connection. When you are constantly saying yes to others, even when it goes against your own needs, you are not being authentic. True connection and respect come from standing firm in your truth. When you prioritize your own needs, you send a powerful message to the universe that you are worthy of respect and that your energy is valuable. It's also important to recognize that boundaries are not fixed, they can evolve over time. As you grow and change, so too will your boundaries. This is a natural part of personal development. What may have worked for you in the past might no longer serve you in the present. For example, you might have been willing to tolerate certain behaviors or dynamics in a relationship that you now realize are draining you. As you become more attuned to your inner self, you will be able to adjust your boundaries to reflect your current needs and priorities. The process of setting boundaries can be uncomfortable, especially if you're not used to asserting yourself. You may face resistance from others who are accustomed to you being overly accommodating. They may push back, attempt to guilt trip you, or accuse you of being selfish. This is a natural reaction, but it's important to stand firm in your decision. Remember that your well being is your responsibility, and you are not obligated to sacrifice it for the comfort of others. Setting a boundary is an act of self love. And while it may feel challenging at first, the long term benefits far outweigh the initial discomfort. Another key aspect of setting boundaries is learning to say no without guilt. Many of us have been conditioned to associate no with negativity or conflict. We fear disappointing others or being perceived as unkind. But saying no is not a rejection of others, it's an affirmation of your own needs. It's a way of ensuring that you have the space and energy to focus on what truly matters to you. When you say no to things that drain you, you are saying yes to yourself, to your goals, and to your inner peace. Boundaries are not just about protecting your energy from others, they are also about protecting your energy from yourself. Sometimes we are our own worst enemies, overcommitting and overextending ourselves in an attempt to prove our worth. We push ourselves to the point of burnout, thinking that the more we give, the more valuable we are. But true value does not come from self sacrifice, it comes from self awareness. When you set boundaries with yourself, you are acknowledging that your time and energy are finite resources. You are choosing to invest them wisely rather than depleting them through constant overexertion. In this sense, boundaries become a form of empowerment. They allow you to take control of your life, to make decisions from a place of clarity rather than obligation. When you set firm boundaries, you are no longer at the mercy of external forces. You become the architect of your own experience, consciously choosing where and how to direct your energy. This is how you reclaim your power. It's also important to note that boundaries are not rigid walls. They are flexible and can be adjusted as needed. Sometimes you may need to reinforce them, while other times you might choose to soften them. The key is to remain mindful and attuned to your own needs. When you approach boundaries with this level of awareness, you are able to create a life that is aligned with your highest self. You are no longer living in reaction to others, but are instead living in alignment with your inner truth. In conclusion, reclaiming your power through setting firm boundaries is an act of profound self respect. It requires you to be honest with yourself about what you need and to have the courage to assert those needs without fear of judgment. Boundaries are not about isolation, they are about creating a space where you can thrive and grow free from the draining influence of external demands. When you set boundaries, you are reclaiming your time, energy, and personal power. You are choosing to live intentionally in alignment with your highest purpose, and that is the ultimate act of empowerment. In the journey of self growth, seeking external approval often becomes a significant stumbling block. This dependence on validation from others can derail your personal development, prevent you from achieving your true potential, and ultimately hinder your progress. The pursuit of external approval is a common behavior rooted in the desire for acceptance, affirmation, and belonging. However, it is essential to understand that the quest for external validation can be a double-edged sword. When you focus on external approval, you are essentially placing your self-worth in the hands of others. This reliance on outside feedback can lead to a cycle of dependency, where your sense of self and your achievements are constantly measured against the opinions and judgments of those around you. This cycle can be draining and disheartening, as the approval you seek is often fleeting and can change with circumstances or people's moods. It creates a situation where your self-esteem is in constant flux, driven by the approval or disapproval of others. In contrast, focusing on self-growth means shifting your attention inward. It involves setting personal goals, recognizing your intrinsic value, and working towards your own vision of success. This shift in focus is empowering because it puts you in control of your journey. Instead of seeking validation from external sources, you build confidence and self-worth from within. This inner strength is more stable and resilient than any external approval, which can be unreliable and inconsistent. Self-growth is a deeply personal journey that requires introspection, self-awareness, and a commitment to continuous improvement. It involves understanding your strengths and weaknesses, setting meaningful goals, and taking deliberate actions to achieve them. This process is not always easy. It requires you to confront your limitations, overcome challenges, and push beyond your comfort zone. However, the rewards of focusing on self-growth are profound. When you are committed to your own development, you build a foundation of self-confidence and resilience that is independent of others' opinions. Furthermore, focusing on self-growth, rather than external approval, allows you to cultivate a sense of purpose and direction. When you are driven by your own goals and aspirations, you are more likely to stay motivated and persevere through obstacles. Your efforts are directed toward achieving something that is meaningful to you, rather than merely seeking to meet others' expectations. This intrinsic motivation is often more sustainable and fulfilling because it aligns with your core values and desires. It's also important to recognize that seeking external approval can sometimes lead you away from your true self. When you are overly concerned with what others think, you may find yourself conforming to societal norms or adapting your behavior to fit in. This can result in a loss of authenticity, where you prioritize pleasing others over staying true to your own values and beliefs. By focusing on self growth, you give yourself permission to be authentic and pursue goals that genuinely resonate with you rather than conforming to external standards. In the realm of self growth, it is crucial to practice self compassion. This means treating yourself with kindness and understanding, especially when you encounter setbacks or challenges. Self compassion allows you to view your experiences with a balanced perspective, recognizing that failures and difficulties are part of the growth process. Instead of seeking external validation to boost your morale, you learn to support and encourage yourself from within. This self compassion strengthens your resilience and helps you stay committed to your personal development journey. In addition, focusing on self growth rather than external approval fosters a mindset of continuous learning and improvement. When you are driven by personal goals and aspirations, you are more likely to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. You become open to learning from your experiences, adapting your approach, and refining your skills. This mindset of growth and learning is essential for achieving long term success and fulfillment, as it encourages you to remain curious, innovative, and proactive in your personal development. Ultimately, shifting your focus from seeking external approval to prioritizing self growth transforms your approach to life and success. It empowers you to take ownership of your journey, build inner strength and resilience, and pursue goals that align with your authentic self. By focusing on your own growth, you create a sense of purpose and direction that is independent of others' opinions. This shift not only enhances your personal development, but also leads to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Embrace the journey of self growth, and you will discover that the approval you seek is found within yourself, not in the validation of others. Kindness is often celebrated as a fundamental virtue, a quality that elevates our interactions and fosters a sense of community and compassion. However, there is a nuanced understanding that kindness in its truest form should stem from strength rather than weakness. When kindness is rooted in weakness, it can lead to detrimental patterns that not only undermine our own well being, but also dilute the authenticity of our interactions. To grasp this concept fully, we need to explore what it means for kindness to come from strength. Strength, in this context, refers to a robust sense of self, a clear understanding of one's values, and the ability to set boundaries that safeguard our own mental and emotional health. When kindness is a product of this strength, it becomes a powerful tool that enhances relationships and fosters genuine connection. On the other hand, kindness arising from a place of weakness is often driven by insecurity, a need for approval, or a fear of conflict. When kindness is driven by weakness, it can manifest as people-pleasing behavior. People pleasers are often driven by an underlying fear of rejection or conflict. They may go out of their way to accommodate others even at their own expense, to avoid disapproval or maintain a positive image. This kind of kindness is not a reflection of personal strength, but rather a manifestation of vulnerability and fear. Such individuals might find themselves constantly bending over backward, sacrificing their own needs and desires, and ultimately feeling depleted and unfulfilled. In contrast, when kindness comes from a place of strength, it is rooted in self-awareness and self-respect. It is an intentional and deliberate act, not a response to fear or insecurity. Strong individuals understand their own needs and boundaries and are not afraid to assert them. They offer kindness because they genuinely want to, not because they feel they must or because they fear negative consequences if they don't. This type of kindness is empowering, both for the giver and the receiver. It is grounded in authenticity and is sustainable over time. Furthermore, strength-based kindness fosters healthy relationships. When kindness is driven by personal strength, it creates a dynamic where respect and mutual understanding are at the forefront. Such interactions are characterized by honesty and integrity, where individuals are not afraid to express their true selves and engage in meaningful dialogue. This form of kindness is not about avoiding confrontation or suppressing one's own needs, but about addressing issues with clarity and respect. It allows for more genuine connections because it is not tainted by hidden agendas or unspoken fears. On the other hand, weakness-based kindness can often lead to resentment and dissatisfaction. When individuals constantly put others' needs above their own, They may begin to feel that their own needs are being neglected or invalidated. This can lead to a buildup of frustration and resentment, which can ultimately harm relationships rather than nurture them. The kindness that was initially intended to build bridges can end up creating a foundation of unspoken grievances and unmet expectations. Additionally, kindness from strength involves recognizing and addressing our own needs. It requires us to be in touch with our own emotions and to practice self care. When we are secure in ourselves, we are better equipped to offer kindness that is both genuine and considerate. We understand that taking care of ourselves is not a selfish act, but a necessary component of being able to effectively and authentically support others. By prioritizing our own well being, we ensure that our acts of kindness are not born out of obligation or a need to compensate for our own shortcomings, but out of a true desire to contribute positively to the lives of others. Moreover, kindness from strength does not mean that we should never challenge or confront others. In fact, it often involves the courage to have difficult conversations and address issues head on. This is because strength based kindness includes a commitment to honesty and integrity. It involves the ability to speak up when something is wrong and to address conflicts in a constructive manner. It is not about avoiding difficult situations or keeping the peace at all costs, but about engaging in interactions that are fair, respectful, and grounded in truth. In essence, kindness should be a reflection of our inner strength and self assuredness. It should not be a means of avoiding conflict or seeking external validation. Instead, it should come from a place of clarity, self respect, and genuine concern for others. When kindness is rooted in strength, it becomes a powerful force that enriches our relationships, enhances our personal growth, and contributes to a more authentic and fulfilling life. It is an act of empowerment both for ourselves and for those around us, and it stands as a testament to the strength of character that we cultivate through self awareness and personal integrity. Saying no is an act of self respect. It's a powerful statement that goes beyond mere words, reflecting a deep understanding of your own boundaries, values, and priorities. In a world where we are often conditioned to please others, to be accommodating, and to seek approval, the act of saying no can seem counterintuitive. However, it is precisely this act that reclaims your personal power and affirms your self worth. When you say no, you are exercising the right to set boundaries and protect your personal space. This is not about being unkind or rejecting others without consideration. Rather, it is a conscious choice to preserve your own well being and to honor what you truly need at any given moment. Boundaries are essential for maintaining balance in life. They allow you to define where you end and others begin, ensuring that you are not overwhelmed by external demands or expectations. By clearly stating no, you draw a line that delineates your limits and communicates your needs assertively. This is an act of self respect because it acknowledges that your time, energy, and resources are valuable. The ability to say no also signifies a deep level of self awareness. It requires you to be in tune with your own emotions, desires, and capacities. When you know yourself well enough to recognize when something is not right for you, or when you are stretched too thin, saying no becomes a natural and necessary response. It is an affirmation that you have a clear sense of your priorities and are committed to honoring them. This self awareness is crucial for personal growth and development. It allows you to navigate life with intention rather than being driven by external pressures or societal expectations. Furthermore, saying no is an act of integrity. It means staying true to your principles and values, even when it might be uncomfortable or challenging. There are often situations where saying yes might be easier, where going along with what others want can seem like the path of least resistance. However, choosing to say no when something conflicts with your values or compromises your well being demonstrates a strong sense of moral and ethical consistency. It shows that you are committed to living authentically and you are unwilling to compromise your principles for the sake of pleasing others. In the context of relationships, saying no is an expression of self respect and mutual respect. It establishes clear expectations and helps to prevent misunderstandings and resentment. Healthy relationships are built on a foundation of respect, where both parties understand and honor each other's boundaries. When you say no, you are communicating your needs and limits, which helps to foster a relationship dynamic based on honesty and mutual understanding. It also empowers others to respect your boundaries and encourages them to set their own, creating a more balanced and equitable interaction. The act of saying no also plays a significant role in self care. In a culture that often glorifies busyness and constant availability, taking the time to say no when necessary is a crucial aspect of maintaining your mental, emotional, and physical health. Overcommitting yourself can lead to burnout, stress, and exhaustion. By recognizing your limits and setting boundaries, you prioritize your well being and create space for rest, reflection, and rejuvenation. This is an essential component of a balanced and fulfilling life. Moreover, saying no empowers you to make conscious choices about how you spend your time and energy. It allows you to focus on what truly matters to you and to invest in activities and relationships that align with your goals and values. By saying no to things that do not serve your higher purpose or contribute to your growth, you create the opportunity to say yes to opportunities that are more meaningful and fulfilling. This shift in focus can lead to greater satisfaction and a more purposeful life. It is important to acknowledge that saying no can sometimes be met with resistance or disapproval from others. This is a natural part of the process, as people may have their own expectations or desires that conflict with your boundaries. However, standing firm in your decision is an act of courage and self respect. It reinforces your commitment to your own well being and demonstrates that you are willing to prioritize your own needs over the potential discomfort of disappointing others. Ultimately, saying no is a powerful tool for personal empowerment. It allows you to take control of your life and make decisions that are aligned with your values and goals. It affirms your self worth and ensures that you are living in accordance with your true self. By embracing the act of saying no, you are not only respecting yourself, but also creating the space for growth, authenticity, and meaningful connections. In conclusion, saying no is far from a simple rejection. It is a profound expression of self respect and personal integrity. It is an acknowledgement of your own boundaries, a commitment to your values, and a vital component of self care. By embracing the power of no, you reclaim your autonomy, enhance your relationships, and create a life that is truly aligned with who you are. It is through this act of self respect that you pave the way for a more authentic and fulfilling existence. Kindness is often perceived as a universal virtue, a trait that we're encouraged to cultivate and display in our interactions with others. However, real kindness goes beyond mere gestures and superficial actions. It demands clarity and intentionality. To understand this, we must first consider the nature of true kindness versus the conventional, often misguided interpretations of the term. When we talk about clarity in the context of kindness, we are referring to a deep understanding of why we are being kind and what our true intentions are. Clarity involves a conscious awareness of our motives and the impact of our actions on ourselves and others. It's not just about acting in a way that seems nice or benevolent. It's about ensuring that our kindness aligns with our core values and serves a meaningful purpose. Intentionality, on the other hand, means that our actions are deliberate and purposeful rather than automatic or habitual. It involves making a conscious choice to engage in acts of kindness that are consistent with our true self and our higher goals. This means we must assess each situation thoughtfully, considering whether our actions will genuinely benefit the recipient and align with our personal growth. Consider the difference between a spontaneous act of kindness and one that is intentional. A spontaneous act might be driven by a desire to feel good about oneself or to meet societal expectations. While such acts are not inherently negative, they can lack depth and fail to address underlying issues. For example, giving money to a panhandler on the street might seem like a kind gesture, but without understanding the broader context of the person's needs and challenges, it might not be the most effective or meaningful support. On the other hand, intentional kindness involves a deeper level of engagement. It requires us to think critically about how we can contribute to someone's well-being in a way that is thoughtful and impactful. This could involve taking the time to understand their situation, providing support that addresses their specific needs, and ensuring that our actions foster genuine connection and empowerment. Intentional kindness also means being honest with ourselves and others. It's about setting boundaries and being clear about our own needs and limitations. For instance, if we consistently put others' needs ahead of our own, we might be neglecting our own well being, leading to burnout or resentment. True kindness involves recognizing when to step back and take care of ourselves, ensuring that we are acting from a place of strength rather than depletion. Moreover, intentional kindness requires us to be authentic in our interactions. It's not about adopting a facade of niceness to gain approval or avoid conflict. Instead, it's about expressing genuine care and compassion that reflects our true values and beliefs. This authenticity is crucial for building meaningful relationships and fostering an environment of mutual respect and trust. When we practice real kindness with clarity and intentionality, we also create a ripple effect that extends beyond our immediate interactions. Our actions set a standard for how we want to be treated and how we hope others will engage with us. By being deliberate in our kindness, we encourage others to do the same, fostering a culture of respect, empathy, and mutual support. Additionally, intentional kindness involves recognizing and addressing our own biases and assumptions. It requires us to question whether our actions are motivated by a genuine desire to help or by unconscious desires for validation or control. By examining our own motivations, we can ensure that our kindness is rooted in a true commitment to the well being of others rather than in personal gain. In summary, real kindness is a practice that goes beyond surface level actions and requires a deep level of clarity and intentionality. It involves a conscious understanding of our motives, thoughtful consideration of how our actions impact others, and a commitment to authenticity and self care. By embracing this approach to kindness, we can create more meaningful and impactful connections, both with ourselves and with those around us. True kindness, therefore, is not about simply following societal expectations, but about aligning our actions with our deepest values and intentions, fostering a genuine and transformative impact. In a world where societal expectations often dictate our actions and behaviors, it is essential to understand the profound impact that prioritizing your energy and well being can have on your life. Too often, we find ourselves caught in the cycle of pleasing others, conforming to norms, and living in a way that garners external approval, rather than focusing on what genuinely nourishes and fulfills us. The pursuit of societal validation can be a relentless force, subtly steering us away from our true selves and eroding our sense of personal well being. At its core, prioritizing your energy and well being means making conscious choices that align with your authentic self and contribute to your overall health and happiness. This requires a deep understanding of what truly matters to you, beyond the superficial demands of societal expectations. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and emotional resources are finite, and choosing to invest them in ways that will bring you the most fulfillment. One of the first steps in this process is to identify the sources of external pressure in your life. These pressures can come from various places: family, friends, work environments, or societal norms. They often manifest as expectations that we should behave in certain ways, achieve specific milestones, or adhere to particular standards. While some of these expectations may be positive and constructive, many are rooted in outdated or unexamined beliefs that do not necessarily serve our highest good. For instance, societal norms often glorify the idea of being constantly available and accommodating to others, which can lead to chronic stress and burnout. The pressure to be perpetually kind, agreeable, and helpful, even at the expense of your own needs, can deplete your energy reserves and undermine your well being. When you constantly prioritize others' expectations over your own needs, you may find yourself feeling drained, disconnected, and unfulfilled. To counter this, it is crucial to establish and maintain healthy boundaries. Setting boundaries is not about being unkind or rejecting others, rather, it's about protecting your own space and ensuring that you are not overwhelmed by external demands. Boundaries allow you to allocate your time and energy in a way that supports your well being, enabling you to be more present and effective in the areas that truly matter to you. By learning to say no to things that do not align with your values or that deplete your energy, you create space for activities and relationships that genuinely enhance your life. Another important aspect of prioritizing your energy and well being is developing a deep sense of self awareness. Self awareness involves understanding your own needs, desires, and limits, and recognizing how external pressures may influence your choices. It requires an honest evaluation of what makes you feel alive and fulfilled and what drains your energy. This self knowledge empowers you to make decisions that are in alignment with your true self, rather than being swayed by external expectations. When you prioritize your own well being, you also set an example for others. By choosing to honor your own needs and maintain healthy boundaries, you demonstrate the importance of self respect and self care. This can inspire those around you to reflect on their own priorities and perhaps reevaluate how they allocate their time and energy. In this way, prioritizing your well being not only benefits you, but can also positively influence the dynamics within your relationships and community. Moreover, focusing on your own energy and well being allows you to approach life from a place of strength and authenticity. When you are grounded in your own sense of purpose and self worth, you are better equipped to handle challenges and pursue your goals with confidence. You are less likely to be swayed by external opinions and more capable of making choices that truly resonate with your inner values. It's also important to recognize that prioritizing your well being does not mean neglecting or disregarding others. Instead, it means finding a balance where you can be supportive and compassionate without sacrificing your own needs. By taking care of yourself first, you ensure that you have the energy and resilience to be there for others in a meaningful and sustainable way. This balanced approach allows you to contribute to the well being of those around you without depleting yourself in the process. In practical terms, prioritizing your energy and well being may involve implementing specific strategies and practices. This could include setting aside time for self care activities, such as exercise, meditation, or hobbies that bring you joy. It might also involve seeking support from a therapist or coach to help you navigate and manage external pressures. Additionally, creating a supportive environment, whether through nurturing relationships or a conducive workspace, can significantly enhance your overall well being. Ultimately, the journey to prioritizing your energy and well being is a personal one, and it requires ongoing reflection and adjustment. It involves making conscious choices that reflect your true self and align with your values, rather than conforming to external expectations. By placing your own well being at the forefront, you not only improve your quality of life, but also cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment and purpose. In doing so, you empower yourself to live authentically, engage with the world from a place of strength and clarity.